Welcome to the Building Materials Sales and Marketing Podcast, presented by Mark Mitchell, a sales and marketing consultant who specializes in helping building materials companies overcome difficult sales problems. Mark is the author of the book Building Materials Channel Marketing and a frequent speaker at industry events.
Hi, this is Mark Mitchell from Wizard Strategy. Thanks for joining me again. Today, I want to share with you some changes that I've seen recently in how companies are growing their sales. And it kind of runs counter to everything that I'd ever learned about the building materials business. When I first started out in the building materials industry, one of my clients was a large roofing manufacturer, and they were having trouble in an area of the country selling their products. And so they went to their advertising agency and who came up with an ad campaign that I think had television ads and newspaper. It was really impressive. And they ran this expensive campaign. And I think, 4 or 6 weeks later, absolutely nothing changed. Sales had not gone up at all. And they were scratching their head. It taught me that, if you go past the channel, if you go past the distributor, the builder, the dealer, the architect, the contractor, all of those people, if you ignore them and think that you can go to the end user and that the end user will pull your product through, you're wrong. At least that's what I've always seen and I've always practiced is like, let's make sure that the channel is on your side. The channel wants to sell your product. And then if you want to reach out to the consumers, now it would actually maybe pay off. But recently I've worked with a couple of companies in the last 2 or 3 years, and these companies have taken a little different approach. I would say the first thing that they've done is they've made sure that they had I don't know whether I'll call it an in-house sales department, customer service department, but let's call it some in-house salespeople. And when these companies get an inquiry, they don't merely send out a brochure or a sample and forward it to a sales rep or a local dealer. They hang on to the inquiry. They start a relationship with the inquiry, with whoever the inquiry is. If it's a homeowner, a builder, whoever it is, they are working with them. Let's say they send out a sample. They'll call back a few days later and say, hey, did you get the sample? What did you think of that? Isn't that an amazing product? Wouldn't that look great on your project? Are there any other questions I can answer for you? And they start to, nurture this person and build a relationship with them over the phone and through email. They're not in a hurry to send this lead or inquiry off to a salesperson or off to one of their channel customers to follow up on. They are following up. Now, both of these companies have a product that is more expensive. It's a harder sell. There's only certain customers are going to want this product. And what they found initially was that the channel didn't see the need for their product. It was like, this is a great product, but I'm really busy already. I'm basically sold out just selling the day-to-day stuff that we normally do. I don't really see a need for a change. Now, if a customer asks me for it, I will certainly sell it to them and install it. But day-to-day, I'm getting inquiries in my local market for the normal product. And so try as they may, they just found that they couldn't get the channel really behind the product. And so what they started to do is they started to, as I said, rather than send the lead off out to the field, they hang on to it and really develop and nurture it and build a relationship with this customer. And then at the right time, then they will bring in the sales rep or bring in a contractor or a dealer or whoever is called for when the customer is ready for that. Now, what they have seen is the one company blew me away. Their 50% of their inquiries, in other words, 50% of the time when somebody fills out a form on their website or calls them on the phone, they turn that into a sale. And that, I don't know what, your numbers are, but those are to me some really impressive numbers, particularly for a product that is, let's say, more expensive, not as frequently used. The contractor is going to have to go through a little extra effort to source it and learn how to install it and so forth. Just that really amazed me as I saw the success that they're having by, yes, trying to get more inquiries, but then the first phase is they pre-qualify the inquiry, make sure that this person is somebody that is a good fit and can afford the product. And then they are in no hurry, unless the customer is, to have somebody rush out and give them a quote or make a sales call on them. They move at the pace the customer wants, and they make sure that the customer is very well educated about their product. Where I think in the past, if you said, if somebody sees a TV commercial, reads an ad about our product, then they know about it. Well, they don't know very much about it. So it's very easy for somebody like a contractor to talk them out of your product. But if you've taken the time to build a relationship, to answer questions for them, to point out the features and benefits of your product that are specific to their situation, now they're going to be able to ask the contractor a lot more tough questions. They're already going to be prepared. Yes, I know this is going to cost more. I want it for these reasons. And so those things are adding up to where more of those sales are staying with them. And one of the companies literally said, this is the way we're just going to keep moving forward. And if it's someday a contractor decides this is a good thing for him to recommend our product on a regular basis, that's great, but we're not going to sit around and wait for that day to happen. Along the same lines, I've also seen a number of companies, let's just say, raise the level of their in-house sales department as they're finding more and more customers are finding you online and then not wanting to have a sales call, not wanting to wait for a sales call, maybe not wanting to take the time for a sales call, but liking the efficiency of the information I need is on your website. If it's not, there's somebody right there that on a phone, an email, a chat function can answer my question and help me out. And those companies tell me that they are seeing really they're having a lot of success when they're measuring the performance of the in-house salespeople versus the performance of the people out in the field. A field person out in the field is traveling, is having to schedule appointments, set up times, get to the appointment, make the sales call. And the greatest salesperson in the world can only do so many calls. And there is a time and a place, certainly, for real, live, in-your-face salespeople. But rather than perhaps just adding more, a good thing I'm seeing is a balance of raising the level of your in-house department. And when you're thinking of an in-house salesperson, some people start to think cheap, like, I can get somebody for $15 an hour to answer the phone. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about probably somebody's the same. What would you pay a good salesperson? Your in-house salesperson makes the same amount of money, but just doesn't have a big travel and an entertainment budget because they're not going anywhere. And those companies are really seem to having a lot more success with this. The other factor I notice in talking to a couple of them is the in-house salespeople all kind of sit together and they have a good energy and they're kind of rooting each other on, and whether they have a little whiteboard with what they're trying to achieve that day. But there's a camaraderie and an energy like a team that is really hard, when you're an individual salesperson out driving around on the road, to keep yourself pumped up and motivated. And that was another factor that I noticed with the companies that have started to do this. And then another company had a twist on this idea that I really liked, and that was we have high caliber in-house salespeople. They can pick up the phone and talk to any customer about anything, but they are assigned a territory. We'll say the Southeast. Now, if the phone rings and they pick it up and it's somebody from North Dakota, they handle the call. But day to day, they are thinking about the Southeast, and they're not only doing waiting for inbound inquiries, but they're doing outbound, both cold calls as well as just staying in touch with current customers, making sure current customers are happy. And they had an interesting twist. Once a month, that in-house salesperson travels to their territory for a week. So if my territory is the Southeast, and let's say that has Georgia and Florida, well, once a month I travel, let's say, to Atlanta, and then I spend the week around Atlanta calling on current customers, perhaps some new customers, and then I come back for 3 weeks. And then the next month, maybe I go to Orlando and Tampa or to Miami. I mean, I thought that was a really creative way to kind of nice mix between in-house and all the benefits of that, as well as though being out, actually in the field for the face-to-face interactions. There is something to be said for, a live face-to-face sales call when you can really get the touch and feel of the company, the energy, what's going on, other ways that you can help them, things that are really hard to pick up on an email or in the phone. We have to keep getting more and more efficient. Every dollar you invest in your sales team, every dollar you invest in marketing, you need to be working harder and harder to make sure that it's delivering the best return to you. And it seems like, adding salespeople with their travel costs and so forth, and the ability of how many people can they really see is an expensive way to go. And I'm finding also more and more customers today are moving so fast that they are saying, I'm interested in this product, but I can't wait for 2 weeks for a salesperson to come see me. Or some, younger people just literally would prefer not dealing with a person. And so, the ability to adapt to your customers' needs and the way they want to do business with you, I think is very important. So I just wanted to share that with you to think about. One question would be to look and say, what percentage of your inquiries are turning into a new customer or a sale? If you can track that, that's a very important number to track. And then, look at, the performance of your salespeople. And many times I look and say, what are your expectations of the salespeople? Have you made it clear to them? Are they really more account managers where they are responsible to keep current customers happy? Do you need to do that in person? I frequently have distributors will say to me, Mark, I wish my manufacturer salespeople would not call on me as much and they would call on my customers more and help both of us. I love the manufacturer salesperson. I love it when they stop in, but they're not really helping either of us by grow the business by spending time with me. And so, be looking at, what is their job? Account management, or is it really business development? And I've thought sometimes about one company I recommended that was doing the in-house, total in-house sales effort. I recommend that they might have one salesperson who could get on a plane at any time when there was a big opportunity and go follow when that was required. But, large opportunity that it's worth doing that, go do it. But that person has those skills of a hunter versus somebody who's a farmer or manager. And it takes both, and it's hard to wear both hats. It's hard to be good at both. It's like I tell people, it's really hard to call on a home builder and then call on a commercial architect. It's like two different worlds. You're going to be good at one or the other or not so good at either of them. And the same thing happens, I think, when you're responsible for maintaining a current account versus going and getting new customers. So I hope I've given you something to think about today. It really hit me that I've noticed this last little over 2 years. I've seen companies making this shift and how they are reporting to me the improved results they're getting, and that they, as I learned to not go around the channel, in some effect a little bit, they are going around the channel, but they're doing it with some intent and some depth. It isn't just here's an ad or here's a commercial or here's a one-time interaction. They're making sure that it sticks and then bringing the channel along. So just something I thought interesting to think about. And as we always are striving to improve the efficiency of our sales and marketing operations, looking at would that make your field salespeople more efficient if they had some more support from in-house selling, just as another way to look at it. So I hope this has been, you've enjoyed this and learned something or made you think a little bit at least. And if you think your company would in any way benefit from some outside thinking. If you feel like you're stuck, that's what I do. I come in and help you get you unstuck and get you going in the right direction. So please reach out to me at any time you'd like to talk about it.
Thank you for listening to this podcast from Mark Mitchell on building materials, sales, and marketing. We hope he gave you some fresh perspectives on how to grow your sales, and will listen to future episodes.